What's up, Rubits, Little Big Robots? This is your Little Big Robots toy podcast number 14. I'm forgetting the date, whatever date this was uploaded. Anyway, I thought I'd do a little impromptu, slightly hungover video, covering something that I've thought about a lot. I've made videos about this before. I brought it up before, asked you all out there about this and how you feel about it. But essentially, I wanted to buy some of these discounted, or I should say non-branded maybe, Lego, or I'm sorry, brick kits from Amazon. I've seen them forever. You can really see them on like Temu and places like that. But they're basically a brick kit that you get that has designs. In this case, it's got some designs that are probably pretty familiar to you. And I saw that and I thought, is that like a, you know how a song, you can have a cover song, and some cover songs are public domain and some cover songs are not, and you have to pay the original artist, and there's a little bit of a gray area there. I used to play in a cover band, and if they wanted our, not in a cover band, but a band that did some covers, a couple covers, and if they wanted to put our song into jukeboxes in bars, which is when that was a thing, there had to be this weird royalty, like a penny pay. It was just strange. Copyright stuff is a strange thing. So I really wanted to investigate this just to see what the kits are like, and also explore a little bit about Lego, or brick, I should say, mecha. I really am fascinated by it because, like I've always said, it's like making a war machine out of a children's toy. It's really kind of fun. That's what I like about toys, is they often take something that's, you know, kind of horrible and make it fun and accessible for everybody. But anyway, I was also just wanted to see what people were doing. I know there's a lot of custom brick people out there that make some incredible stuff. I've seen their channels before. There's one guy, a person who redoes Bionicles. They have an old Bionicle, the original model, and they'll remake it to look cooler. And I love that channel. It's really, really fun. Really, really creative stuff. So bricks are a really exciting area. You do have to often consider their flexibility, their durability. But other than that, I mean, that's kind of like a model kit if you think about it. But anyway, so I got a couple of these. And what's interesting, as soon as I got it, is you have email addresses on there, right? And then on the bottom, it has a different email address. So there's one here, which I'm going to email this person and ask them about this. And then there's one here. Now, that could just be an updated email address since this was printed. I'm imagining this is a new updated one. I don't know why you'd want to maybe just trying to change it or whatever. But it's cool. And they probably, a lot of the toys and items that I get from Amazon are often backed up with some pretty decent customer service, because I know that if the bad reviews get out there, people will there's so much stuff out there, people will just avoid that product. So, I'll email this person and see what their inspiration was. I have so many questions about the world of the China market of toys. I know a few people who live there. I know several YouTubers who live there. I know one particular. I've asked him in his comments. He's a very nice guy. I want to say he lives there, and he's always got really, really incredible toy selection. I think because he's in the market, he can get them real cheap or something. But I'm fascinated by this kind of what people over here in the U.S. think is kind of like a Wild West of copyright law where it doesn't exist. There's a few things that I've investigated over the years and more recent years, and I'll pass that on. In China, there is definitely a copyright law. There's a copyright you can get in trouble for infringing on copyrights, especially if it's a product that makes a lot of money and stuff, or you're infringing on a product that's popular over there. Like, China's not just going to sit back and let somebody knock off the iPhone and call it the e-phone or something. There are copyright laws there. I saw somebody explain it really well on Reddit. It's just a matter of enforcement. And from what I've read so far, please correct me in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube, or email me or something like that. From what I understand, that's how it works. It's what, over a billion people. As a point of comparison, the U.S. is 330 million, something like that. So there are 3 U.S.s over there. And over here in the U.S., we have problems with copyright infringement and laws and lawsuits and liabilities and stuff. So I imagine it's a nightmare over there. Now, excuse me, I know that politically there is a huge difference between here and over there as well. I'm not going to cover that because that gets into a whole range of stuff. But I've seen some people hem and haw about buying certain products from certain companies because of their policies. For example, I saw my wife was watching a doll video, and the person in the doll video was saying that people do not buy from this doll company, or they're boycotting them or something. And I remember the company, but I'm going to say it. I'll just let you investigate it yourself, because they had support. They vocalized or supported Israel somehow, and that's your choice to boycott or whatever. But I noticed in the background, like this, like most doll collectors, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're not playing this in the background in your car or something like that, they have shelves of toys. In this person's case, it was shelves of dolls. And every one of those dolls, I guaranteed, was made in China. And so the question then becomes, who are you supporting? What are the policies of the government you support with your dollars? And you can just do an experiment. This is an old experiment. Look around your room and count how many things that you own were either made in China, as in came from China, or a U.S. company ships to China for assembly and ships it back. That's how cheap it can be. You can ship your stuff there, have it assembled and shipped back. Everything here, minus a few things, and of course a lot of these toys, which I can cover in a second, were made over there. It's a miraculous economy, or I should say, not miraculous. It's a awe-inspiring economy. It really is. Now, of course, that could have to do with the control the government had. I don't know. I'm reading about more of that now. If anybody knows, please let me know more about it. Any good book recommendations? I would love that. So over the years, what I've done is I've said, well, every government in a major nation, in all the major nations in the world, every major government has some kind of track record that's spotty. Nobody's perfect. I'm in the U.S. I know this. So you have to ask, what are we doing? So I didn't want to try to wholesale boycott this company or that company or whatever. I wanted to try to look for other companies that seemed to be doing good and that I could support, or individual citizens in these countries. For example, I know a few people in China. They seem like perfectly nice, hardworking people, and so if they have a little product or something that I can support, great. Can I stop the 10 cents of every purchase going to the guy? I don't know. I can't. We can't go that deep into it, because everything you buy, some of the cents and tax go to some nasty stuff probably. So I started looking for companies that don't manufacture in China, or that just manufacture their own stuff, or there's a few Chinese companies that seem to be really, really on the up and up, if that makes sense. So for example, Kobe, you can't see them. I have all my brick tanks down there, my brick Sherman tanks. Kobe is a Polish, I believe. Is it Polish? Fantastic little company. I don't know if they build. I think they make all their stuff there in a factory. I think it's made in EU, it says, or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're a cool little kind of. It's not really an indie company, but it is a smaller company, I think, unless they're owned by some massive conglomerate, which wouldn't surprise me. Bandai, who makes Gundam kits, not only are Gunpla kits an amazing value, they're probably one of my top recommendations for people who are wanting to get into toys or this kind of whole world of robots and fun stuff. But they are made. Most of them are made in Japan. I've actually emailed a person from a Bandai Collectibles. I can't remember who it was. They do manufacture some in China, I think they said. I'll need to try and find the email again to cover that kind of regional need, so they'll manufacture there locally for selling there, I guess, and for other areas that are maybe close around there. I'm not sure where else. But you can see on the boxes of a Bandai which ones it will say. Look at me with my old man glasses if you can see this on the video. Anyway, usually it'll say on here somewhere, see, like this one, made in China, right? And the bulk of them, though, will say made in Japan. That's a famous saying you can see on the side of that. So there's the bear guy. I think that one was made in Japan. So you can look on there and see. And Bandai's a good group that if you wanted to investigate the world of non-Chinese made toys, or just toys made, not non-Chinese, I shouldn't say that like you're anti-Chinese or something like that. I mean to say, like, if you want to put your dollars into companies that make in somewhere else that you're interested in, like Japan, Poland, Czechoslovakia, I think, make some stuff. So there's some really interesting companies out there. So anyway, back to this little kit. So I got this kit, and over the years of doing this channel, I started in 2007, and started with video games, and that really is where I got a lot of my views. I took most of those videos on private, so you'll see a lot of my views have dropped because of all those old videos. And when I started toys more in 2014-15, I would pop up with a review for a toy, and someone would say, "Oh, that's a literal knockoff, like a copy, a rip of this popular toy." And there was one in particular, Police Bot, and somebody sent it to me. I was like, I don't know what this thing is. I found it online. It was cool. And they sent me the original toy, and I want to say it was just another Chinese company that this little company had ripped off. Anyway, and so over the years, I've become more cognizant of rip-offs, copies, stuff like that. Some you can tell, some you can't. This is obviously like a homemade thing. They printed this up. The packaging is great. The stuff comes in numbered boxes. But I started to build it, and I thought, hey, some of these are really nice. Some of the bricks have a marker on them, and I don't know what the marker means. I'd have to find one, but I'm not to spoil it for the review, but it's a large mech. It's a really interesting toy. But then I'm doing the really nice quality rule book. I'm like, this is awesome. And then I look here, see if you can see that right there. I don't know if that's focusing or not. Sorry. That's just Sluban, S-L-U-B-A-N, Sluban. And I looked at that, and I said, wait a second. Sluban is itself a brick company in China, I believe, that sells kind of, not cheaper, quite a bit cheaper, I think, than the Lego and stuff. And I thought, so they put an instruction manual from a Sluban brick set into their homemade one that they just take a Sluban kit like this and put it in their own box? Is that what they've done? These are just Sluban toys. I mean, you can tell the one that's really crazy is the what's that Gundam? Oh my God, one of my friends from IBO. That's a literal copy of it, and the rest are similar. Like, some look similar to other things, but not 100%. And I can't figure it out. And I started to think, is this a case of a burned copy, I should say, or a rip-off, whatever you want to create, a knockoff of a Sluban kit that they just threw the manual in? Because the manual is really, really nice. It's great, quality. I noticed that name because some of the very first cheap brick sets I found, I think I found them on eBay. And I was like, these things are so cheap, like $15, and they're so cool. Like, I had a little balloon, like a blimp thing with monsters in it. That was really fun. I found what else? A couple monkeys and just weird stuff. And you'd find them on eBay and stuff for like literally $1 beginning bid, and you might get them for $5. And they ship them all the way from China to you for like $5. It's insanity. It's really awe-inspiring how they're able to do that. Get it all the way from across the world on a boat to a distributor here. It's mind-boggling. I guess it's just the answer is just volume, large volume. But so I recognized that name, and I went on their site and I started looking. I didn't find this particular kit, but I'm going to look some more. So if anybody out there knows what that is, I'm just going to Google. I haven't Googled it yet, like really, looked it up. I don't really care, but I'm just so curious. So what I'm probably going to do is email this person, maybe before I put up this video, and see if I can put a response in the description or the comments or something like that. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. It's not like that. And it's also interesting to note that the world of brick toys is kind of a Wild West, because Lego doesn't own the trademark to those locking bricks. That went public domain, I thought, not too long ago, quite 20 years ago, something like that, 10 years, I can't remember what it was. And Lego itself, from what I understand, acquired the design from a smaller company, or the smaller company that was Lego was bought by Lego or whatever. So they didn't necessarily invent the brick thing. So that's why you can see there's Mega Constructs, which is fantastic. They're a great brick company. There's all these other small ones. Kobe, for example, really, really good company. Go look at Kobe. Such good models, and really fun. And so the world of brick stuff is kind of a bit, you can't say that, oh, that's a ripoff because it uses a Lego style brick. You can use that all you want. But I'm just curious what this means about the slip-on thing in a handmade kit. So if anybody knows, or if anybody out there has any insight into the world of Chinese toy manufacturing, production, it's something I'd really like to read more about or learn more about. Excuse me. I prefer a book. I don't want to just trust some guy's video on YouTube or something. So, but if you have a good recommendation, please link it in the comments or whatever. But so again, for me, we purchase so much of this stuff, and sometimes we think about where the money's going, and sometimes we don't. But I have to say that no matter really where the money goes, there's a very few real exceptions, very few. No matter where your money's going, you are contributing in some way to, by putting your little tiny amount of tax money into a bucket. That bucket is going towards some nefarious stuff in every country in the world. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be cognizant or aware of it, or shouldn't be concerned. But instead of necessarily saying, I'm going to avoid that entire part of the world because that's impossible, I think you should say, let's go find some companies that we know are working in a country, from a country that I'd like to support as well. Japan, Poland, places in Europe, stuff like that. Then support those companies, go find them. That's why I'm always doing little weird toys. I'm always looking at them. I'm not always reviewing them, but because there's so many really good independent or smaller toy companies now. A lot of them do end up going to China because of the manufacturing so cheap, but they're based in Europe or they're based in the US or whatever. So anyway, just kind of a riff, half hungover riff on this has been a fun model, don't get me wrong. Some of the pieces are a little weird. I'll explain it in my review, but which will come probably next week. I'm a little under the weather, so I'll probably do some more videos next week. So let me know if you know anything about that fantastically interesting subject, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.